Hello, my name is Elias J. Karam, and I will be presenting on racism. I want to ask first a question: who does it hurt? What would it be like to live in a society where everyone is the same? To get to this state of equality, many think assimilation is the only way. Assimilation is a process that forces one to conform to a predetermined norm in order to eliminate any societal hardships and hindrances that are present when differences do exist. Everyone needs to act and look the same to be treated the same. This is the social reality of assimilation. Although the assimilation process has been challenged, it still remains in America today. Assimilation, or unity through conformity. Does this trade-off sound like what you are willing to live with in order to have equality? For the individuals who do not or cannot fit the predetermined normative mold, they are punished and are not allowed to share in the full range of privileges allotted to them in mainstream America. They continue to be marginalized in our society due to their flaws. So, I ask you again, does this trade-off sound like what you're willing to live with in order to have equality? Forcing individuals to abandon their identity in order to be given equal opportunities to enjoy the privileges allotted to white Americans? Because assimilation requires one to relinquish all that is perceived as being different in order to fit the norm and have equality. This is injustice. Assimilation is the greatest form of racism. For when an individual does not conform to what is determined to be good, they are marginalized and rejected in our society. In America, we profess that all men and women are equal, yet they're treated unjustly, based on differing cultural and inborn biological characteristics. Racism is the belief that all members of each race possess characteristics of that race, especially so as to distinguish it as inferior or superior to another race. Evidence of continued racism is all around us. For example, more minorities are incarcerated in America than whites. In America, African Americans comprise 13% of the population and 37% of the drug arrests. In a 2012 poll, 51% of Americans express anti-black sentiments. The fact is acknowledged in our society. When research was collected and asked about discrimination against African Americans, 88% of blacks said some, while only 47% of whites said others. But for me, I've experienced some racism. As a third-generation American Lebanese who's fully assimilated, I thought I wouldn't be judged as an individual. Yet I have felt the sting of racism. As a young adult, I have begun my experience as small injustices because of my ancestral heritage. I behave like an American and I look like an American, yet my name always gives it away. Although many times the intolerance given to me for my ethnicity is often in jest, as being called a terrorist, or being pulled in an airport for pat-downs, it still has an effect on how I feel about myself. So, in conclusion, stop the cycle of racism. So I ask, does striving to make everyone the same really work in America? For some of us who are unable to look the same and because of our biological characteristics, individuals are treated differently and their lives have been affected on a broad spectrum. So while assimilation proclaims to climate the difference for the purpose of equalizing everyone, does it really eliminate the differences in attitude and treatment? It does ease the burden for some, but it makes the barriers even harder to overcome for others. And what is the norm in today's society? In a national census, it is stated that 50% of Americans under 18 are minorities, and by 2030, the majority will be people of color. Will this finally end assimilation rather than make it equal for everyone to promote equality and accepting differences? In my title, I ask, who is really hurt by racism? Obviously, the oppressed and the victim of this injustice, but equally destroyed by its continuance in our society. Thank you, my audience.